Birmingham, England, 1942. The roar of machinery drowns out everything else. Metal screams against metal. Rivet guns hammer in rapid-fire bursts. The air tastes of oil and aluminum dust. A Spitfire fuselage moves down the assembly line, and the hands fitting its panels, riveting its joints, installing its systems are small, quick, and precise. They belong to women. Thousands of them, in overalls and headscarves, building the fighters that will decide whether Britain survives. At Castle Bromwich alone, more than 10,000 women report for shifts each day, assembling the most advanced fighter aircraft in the world. They are welders, riveters, electricians, fitters. They read technical drawings, operate precision machinery, solve engineering problems. By the end of 1943, women will make up nearly half of Britain's entire aircraft industry workforce. Adolf Hitler, when he learns of this, is appalled, not strategically concerned, not tactically worried, appalled, disgusted. The very idea of women building weapons of war violates everything he believes about the natural order. It confirms his view that Britain is a dying nation, so desperate that it has abandoned the fundamental principles of civilization itself. In his mind, the image of British women in factories is not evidence of British strength or resourcefulness. It is proof of British collapse. He is wrong about almost everything, but he is especially wrong about this. The story of how Britain mobilized its women, how the Nazi leadership reacted, and what that reaction reveals about why Germany lost the war begins not in 1942, but in the first months of the war itself, when Britain faced a problem that would only grow more acute with every passing month. September 1939. Britain declares war with an army of just over 800,000 men. Within a year, that number needs to be millions. Every man who joins the military is a man who leaves his job. Farms, factories, shipyards, mines, all bleeding workers. The government faces a choice: expand war production with a shrinking workforce or find new workers. Women are the answer, but not the way anyone expected. The assumption in those early months is that women will do the simple jobs: filing, typing, basic assembly work. The skilled positions, the ones requiring training, technical knowledge, precision, those will remain male. This is not just prejudice, though prejudice exists. It is the accumulated wisdom of industrial society. Women have not been trained for this work, have not been socialized for it, and probably cannot do it anyway. The aircraft industry resists longest. Building planes requires reading complex technical drawings, operating precision tools, understanding aerodynamics, and engineering tolerances. These are not jobs you can learn in a few weeks. The industry tells the government that women simply cannot do this work. They lack the technical aptitude. Their hands are not strong enough. They cannot handle the mental demands. The government, desperate, ignores them. By mid-1940, the first women enter aircraft factories, not as clerks or cleaners, but as trainees for skilled positions. The training centers open with low expectations. Perhaps some women will manage simple tasks. Perhaps they will free up men for the truly complex work. What happens instead surprises everyone except the women themselves. They learn faster than anticipated. They master the technical drawings, the precision measurements, the complex assembly sequences. Their smaller hands prove advantageous for detailed work in tight spaces, inside fuselages and wings. Their patience suits the repetitive precision that aircraft construction demands. Within months, women are doing work that industry experts had declared impossible for them. At Castle Bromwich, the massive Spitfire factory outside Birmingham, the transformation is total. The factory opens in mid-1940, designed to mass-produce the fighter that won the Battle of Britain. Initially, management assumes a mostly male workforce. By 1942, women are the majority. They are not assistants. They are the primary workforce building one of the most sophisticated machines of the war. A woman named Iris, 23 years old, operates a riveting gun on Spitfire wings. Before the war, she worked in a shop. Now she reads engineering drawings, understands load-bearing requirements, knows exactly how much pressure each rivet needs and where the tolerances are. She works with aluminum alloys, understands how different metals behave, can identify a faulty rivet by sound. She builds 3 wings per shift, each one perfect, each one essential. Another woman, Margaret, 31, welds fuel tanks. This is precision work. A bad weld means a fuel leak, means a pilot burns to death. She learned welding in 6 weeks. Now she produces welds that pass every inspection. She understands metallurgy, heat distribution, stress points. She has never seen a Spitfire fly, but she knows that her work is why they can. By 1943, Castle Bromwich employs more than 12,000 women. They produce more than 300 Spitfires per month. The quality is flawless. The RAF reports no difference between aircraft built by male workers and those built by female workers. If anything, the defect rate has gone down. This is happening across Britain. At Vickers Armstrong, women build Wellington bombers. At Hawker, they assemble Hurricanes. At de Havilland, they construct Mosquitoes. The most complex, demanding, technically sophisticated products of British industry are being built primarily by women who, 3 years earlier, were told they could never do such work. The British government does not hide this. They publicize it. Propaganda films show women in factories. Posters recruit more women to war work. The message is clear. British women are doing their part. They are as essential to victory as the men in uniform. This is total war, and total war means everyone contributes. These films, these posters, these newsreels reach Germany. Adolf Hitler watches footage of British women building aircraft with something close to revulsion. This is not how nations are supposed to fight wars. This is not how civilized societies are supposed to function. In his mind, and in Nazi ideology generally, women have one primary function: bearing children, specifically bearing German children to populate the expanding Reich. Women belong in homes, raising the next generation of soldiers. They do not belong in factories, certainly not building weapons. The Nazi slogan for women is Kinder, Küche, Kirche. Children, kitchen, church. This is not merely propaganda, it is policy. The Nazi state actively discourages women from working outside the home. Women are awarded medals for bearing multiple children. They are celebrated for domestic roles. The ideal German woman is a mother, not a worker. When Hitler sees British women in aircraft factories, he does not see resourcefulness or strength. He sees desperation. He sees a nation so weakened, so depleted, that it has been forced to abandon natural gender roles. He interprets it as evidence that Britain is finished, that the British people have lost the will to fight properly, that they are throwing women into factories because they have run out of men. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda minister, shares this view. His diaries contain multiple references to British use of female labor, always in dismissive terms. The British, he writes, are scraping the barrel. They are using women because they have no choice, because their manpower is exhausted, because they are desperate. This, to Goebbels, is a sign of British weakness, not strength. The Nazi propaganda machine amplifies this message. German newspapers mock British women workers. Cartoons show exhausted, masculine-looking women in factories contrasted with healthy, feminine German mothers. Radio broadcasts describe British women forced into brutal labor, while German women remain protected in their proper roles. The message is consistent. Germany's way is superior. Germany's women are fulfilling their true purpose. Britain's women are being exploited in a losing cause. Hitler believes this completely. In his conversations with subordinates, he returns repeatedly to the theme of women's proper roles. Women should not work in factories. Women should not be involved in war production. Their contribution to the war effort is biological, not industrial. Germany will win because German society maintains proper order, proper roles, proper values. Britain will lose because it has abandoned these principles. There is one problem with this analysis. It is entirely wrong. Britain's use of female labor is not a sign of weakness. It is a massive strategic advantage. By mobilizing women for skilled industrial work, Britain effectively doubles its potential workforce. Every woman who learns to build aircraft is a man who can join the military without reducing production. Britain can expand its armed forces and its war production simultaneously. Germany, clinging to its ideology about women's roles, cannot. The numbers tell the story. By 1943, women make up 47% of Britain's aircraft industry workforce. They are building Spitfires, Hurricanes, Lancasters, Mosquitoes. British aircraft production that year exceeds 26,000 planes. Germany, with a larger population and industrial base, produces just over 25,000. Britain, the smaller nation, is outproducing Germany in one of the war's most critical industries. One major reason is that Britain is willing to train and employ women in skilled positions, while Germany is not. The irony deepens when you look at what is happening in Germany itself. Despite Nazi ideology, despite Hitler's beliefs, despite all the propaganda about Kinder, Küche, Kirche, Germany is facing the same problem Britain faced in 1940. Military expansion is draining the workforce. Factories need workers. The pool of available men is shrinking. Albert Speer, Germany's armaments minister from 1942 onward, understands this. He repeatedly urges Hitler to mobilize German women for war production. The numbers are obvious. Germany has millions of women who could work in factories. They could be trained. They could increase production significantly. Every other major combatant is using female labor extensively. Germany needs to do the same. Hitler refuses. Even as the military situation deteriorates, even as Germany begins losing the war, Hitler resists mobilizing women for factory work. His resistance is not practical or strategic. It is ideological. He believes that putting women in factories is a sign of desperation, a violation of natural order, an admission of weakness. Germany will not stoop to Britain's level. German women will maintain their proper roles even if it costs Germany the war. This is not exaggeration. Hitler's refusal to fully mobilize female labor is documented in multiple sources. Speer's memoirs describe his frustration. German military leaders note the absurdity of the situation. Germany is losing battles because it lacks equipment, lacks ammunition, lacks supplies, all things that could be produced if Germany mobilized its female workforce the way Britain has. But Hitler will not allow it. Germany does eventually use female labor, but half-heartedly and late. By 1944, with the military situation desperate, German factories begin employing more women. But the training is minimal, the integration is poor, and the ideological resistance remains. German women are never mobilized as effectively as British women because the Nazi leadership never truly accepts the necessity. Meanwhile, in Britain, women are not just building aircraft, they are improving them. At Castle Bromwich, a group of female workers notices a recurring problem with fuel line installations. The standard procedure, designed by male engineers, is awkward and time-consuming. The women suggest a modification, a different routing that is faster to install and less prone to leaks. Engineers review the suggestion. It works. The modification is implemented across all production. Installation time drops by 15%. Fuel system failures decrease. This happens repeatedly. Women workers, intimately familiar with the actual process of building aircraft, identify inefficiencies and suggest improvements. Many of these suggestions are adopted. Production becomes faster, quality improves, costs decrease. The women are not just following instructions, they are actively improving the product. None of this fits Hitler's understanding of how the world works. In his mind, women are incapable of this kind of technical work. They lack the necessary intelligence, the necessary aptitude, the necessary strength. The fact that British women are succeeding at it does not cause him to question his assumptions. Instead, he dismisses the evidence. British propaganda, he decides. Exaggeration. The women are probably doing simple tasks, while men do the real work. He is wrong, and his wrongness costs Germany the war in ways that are difficult to quantify but impossible to ignore. Britain's willingness to mobilize women for skilled industrial work gives Britain a strategic advantage that Germany never matches. It allows Britain to expand military forces and war production simultaneously. It brings fresh perspectives and problem-solving approaches to industrial processes. It demonstrates to the British people that everyone is contributing, that the war effort is truly national, that sacrifice and effort are shared. Germany, by contrast, maintains an artificial division. Men fight and produce, women stay home. This division means Germany never fully mobilizes its potential workforce. It means millions of women who could contribute remain idle. It means Germany fights the war with one hand, tied behind its back, not by necessity, but by ideology. The contrast is visible in the production numbers. By 1944, Britain is producing more aircraft than Germany, despite having a smaller population and smaller industrial base. British tank production exceeds German production. British ammunition production exceeds German production. In multiple categories, the smaller nation is outproducing the larger one. Female labor is not the only factor, but it is a significant one. Britain's aircraft industry, with its nearly 50% female workforce, is more productive per capita than Germany's. British women are building the Lancasters that bomb German cities, the Spitfires that achieve air superiority, the Mosquitoes that strike with precision. They are building them faster, better, and in greater numbers than Germany can match. And Hitler, to the end, never understands why. In his final years, as Germany collapses, as the Reich crumbles, Hitler continues to believe that Germany's way was correct. The use of female labor, in his mind, remains a sign of British desperation, not British strength. He never grasps that his ideology cost Germany the war. He never understands that his refusal to mobilize women was a strategic catastrophe. He dies believing he was right. The women at Castle Bromwich, at Vickers Armstrong, at Hawker, at de Havilland know better. They know what they built. They know what they contributed. They know that they were not desperate substitutes for male workers. They were skilled workers who mastered complex tasks, improved production processes, and built the weapons that won the war. After the war, many of these women are pushed out of their jobs. Returning soldiers need employment. The factories want to return to normal. Women who spent years building Spitfires are told to go back to shops and homes. The skill they developed, the expertise they gained, the contributions they made are minimized or forgotten. But for a few years, in the middle of the 20th century's greatest conflict, British women proved something that Hitler never believed and never understood. They proved that technical skill, industrial capability, and mechanical aptitude have nothing to do with gender. They proved that a nation willing to mobilize all its citizens, regardless of gender, has an advantage over a nation that clings to ideology. They proved it by building aircraft. Thousands of aircraft. Perfect aircraft. Aircraft that flew into combat, that won battles, that changed the course of the war. Hitler said British women in factories were a sign of British weakness. He said it proved Britain was desperate, defeated, finished. He said Germany would never stoop to such measures. He said this while British women built the planes that helped destroy his Reich. He was wrong about many things, but he was especially wrong about this. The women building Britain's planes were not a sign of weakness. They were a weapon Hitler never understood and never countered. They were ordinary people doing extraordinary work, and they were one of the reasons Britain survived and Germany did not. In the end, ideology met reality, and reality won. The roar of machinery in British factories, operated by women Hitler believed incapable of such work, was the sound of his defeat. He just never understood it.